Change management. I graduated with a Bachelor of Business Administration in Management. My grade was not high enough to continue to the graduate program at FAU. However, I'm at the School of Elon Musk. Well, I'm studying Elon Musk. So this is the One World Trade Center edition because the World Trade Center was destroyed. A lot of people died. It was horrible. I heard videos of people screaming before the buildings fell. It's now One World Trade Center. J'aimerais engager un avocat spécialisé dans les droits de l'homme internationaux. Mon cas a été présenté à la presse au Canada. Je suis le porte-parole de 5 groupes dans l'action en justice contre les États-Unis. J'ai tout examiné, j'ai beaucoup de preuves. Now, the ICC court had 8 judges, including a Jamaican judge. Now it has 18 judges. Judge Khan is now doing the inquiry on Israel. And this judge is doing the inquiry on the Philippines. Now, Prime Minister of Canada, he came to the United States and spoke to Trump because Trump is putting in the tariffs. And these are all the cases at the ICC right now. There's a cause of action in the Gaza, which is because of the war in Palestine. No, this is another cause of action chart. Here's the situation. The American court, I've been in American court, personal injury case. But after it was treating Trump like a clown, and then it reversed Roe versus Wade, you knew that, well, the world knows that the American court is invalid. So we must become one world court. Here's the history of Trump. Frederick Trump was in Germany, 1869. The Holocaust started 1933. This is the chart of what was taken from the Jews, how many people were killed and what was taken. 775 million was taken from the Jews and put in Swiss bank accounts. And then it says that the Trumps had a poorhouse in Missouri. Well, CNN reports that the Trumps had 2 brothels. So they got money from Germany and then they came and established the Trump empire after that. My reality. October 9, 2024, my Jamaican banker was replaced by an African-American banker. I contacted the president of the bank, the intranet, and the banking commission. Now, it's about my Social Security retirement to come 2026. African Americans bullied me out of my 4th government job. My ex-husband, who was African American, did not allow me and my son to have justice in divorce court. He took my house, my condo. I've been stalked and robbed. I feel like it's a paradigm much like the Holocaust for me. At I Think Financial Credit Union, they took $25 out of the account and closed the account. I called the state. I did work for the state briefly. But the African American was so excited about this coup d'etat that the staff said Norma left. But what the African American are doing, they are bragging because they were able to get somebody who was at the city of Delray Beach out of the city of Delray Beach. She went to the city of Boynton. She was there 37 years, and they also got me out. So that was September 2024. This is very intrusive. My day-to-day activities are really bad. I've been a citizen for a while. And I really was supposed to go to school in Canada. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I followed the Jehovah's Witnesses because they visited my house when I was 10 years old. A big white man, then a white lady, then a Jackson 5. And so I came here to school. These people have no English. They cannot explain. There are 195 countries and all these different languages. How do you explain clearly? I'm trying to explain to Camilla, Maya, and Mina. It looks to me like the permission structure started with Obama helping the government to kill Osama. And then Obama got $12 billion TARP bailout for Chase Bank. I think this helped a lot of phone companies to put in free phones, like Obama free phones. And I only know about the permission structure because Dick Cheney, Republican, mentioned a permission structure. His daughter, Liz Cheney, who learned law with him, she was supporting Kamala Harris, or she was following Kamala Harris around. So there is a permission structure, and I felt like there was permission because of things I was experiencing. Meryl Streep said that there's permission in the society to repeat evil acts. For instance, Trump was ridiculing a handicapped person and imitating his disability. That's the particular incident she was talking about that would normalize people to ridicule poor people like that. This is permission structure in my case. When I worked for the city of Delray Beach, I worked 3 jobs. I bought a condo and then I bought a house. When I bought the condo, it was for sale by owner. And all the sheriff were over there. Well, 3 of them were over there. I thought it was a crime. They said, we're looking for you. I assume that they are down here where I work in Boca Raton because they know who I was. I assume that. But this is Boca Raton police jurisdiction. I don't know what they're talking about. I've been in government since I was 17 in the summer. I have 4 government jobs. So I had to talk to Congress, the Senate, and the House. So, you see the word permission didn't come from me. It came from Dick Cheney, Meryl Streep, etc. But the permission, I call the white permission WAPA because sometimes acronyms make you understand things or clarify things. And the other acronym is OFNA because of things I've experienced, which is on another video. It's the Obama free phone, pre-conquest, bragging, nigger gang, stalking, bullying. I went to work all the way north in the county and I was still stalked and bullied. I went all the way to Broward County and I was still stalked and attacked. So this is what an internal coup d'etat look like. This is a director of a charity, spiritual director. He helps this guy. This guy been in jail many times. He has a long record, but he gives him power over all the clothing at the charity. This is what an internal coup d'etat looked like in 1799 when it occurred with Napoleon. This is an external coup d'etat. I had a state trooper ticket my Honda back to back and tow my Honda. He was also on my job. They also were in my house. They violated my Fourth Amendment rights on both properties, putting leaks in both kitchens, which I paid for, and the FBI said they were investigating me. Well, everything they need to know about me is on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. So the Republicans said they're doing a soft coup d'etat, and that's another word that came up, but permission was one that came up. And then the Republicans gave me the one coup d'etat, but they say it's a soft coup d'etat. This is taken from the internet, and you know they have a blueprint for a soft coup d'etat. And so I was able to see, I studied management at FAU, not public administration, not political science, but I observed that you have soft coup d'etat, internal coup d'etat, external coup d'etat, wrestling for power, and you have public service. And I just want to say I experienced the best public service while working for the European Union. And those Europeans were moving money. So the only living pilots look like the Trump Miss Universe contest, which is part of the misogyny because what the American society, they look at you, are you like Barbie? If you're not like Barbie, you are disposable. So Trump said he'd do something. He did something. He reduced the taxes from 21% to 15%. But initially, that should allow the big companies to increase production, and also it should allow them to be able to afford the robots which start at $30,000. Plus, Elon Musk paid $10 billion in taxes. So Kamala Harris and her sister Maya, they are attorneys, and Mina, Maya's daughter, is also an attorney. I did contact them, but their mother Shamala was a scientist, and she said, don't just complain, do something. So they did something in the campaign. They had white women's record-breaking Zoom meetings. They had black women's record-breaking Zoom meetings. Kamala Harris said anyone who beats down another is a coward. And Meghan Markle said we should have opportunities in the community. John Sarbanes said there's 300 million Americans against big money. You can see him on YouTube, For the People Act Video 4. Trump said you have to love yourself. Trump now has a robot dog at Mar-a-Lago. These are the big men of the world. So he just visited the Prime Minister of France and Prime Minister of Ukraine. And he has Elon Musk helping him to make the government more efficient. That's Elon Musk's point of view. He does a lot of things with the robots. He has a robot that cooks for him and one that carries his groceries. There are construction robots, nurse robots, etc. So most presidents are big men except for the one of Germany and the one of Barbados, the island of Barbados. So the probability is that we'll have 31 million rich people with robots working. And maybe 300 million Americans dead or having no benefits. So I was doing this probability before the election and said there was a probability that there would be a chance for people who are not rich with Kamala Harris being president. However, that does not exist anymore. So who's working? There's a robot. AI is so advanced that it has imagination. Yeah, here's Elon Musk robot doing the hard part, cleaning and cutting up the vegetables, carrying the groceries. The nurse, construction team. Yeah, Trump's robot at Mar-a-Lago. Kim Kardashian's Tesla robot. So he did reduce taxes. As far as misogyny go, he had Stormy Daniels, a whore, with his wife, who just had a little boy, Baron, who is now a big boy. And his wife is not allowing misogyny to control her life. She loves her son. She teaches her son. She's not really going to be at the White House that much. She's going to be in New York and Mar-a-Lago. So there is a crisis because we have had coup d'etats. We had this obvious soft coup d'etat by the Republicans, not so obvious internal and external African-American coup d'etat. But you can see by who was sent the art of devaluing and degrading a woman, and you can see things the Republicans did, like reverse Roe versus Wade. Because I had 3 different groups of Americans sent into Jamaica to impact my life at the age of 10, I asked myself the question, why all the time? The question is, why you came to my parents' house in Jamaica? The answer is, so I could do this. I had a guy from Publix sent to talk to me. I don't go to that Publix all the time. I ran in and got gum this morning because I was desperate for some gum. But I go to a different Publix, which is okay. This guy was sent also to be very rude and mean to me. This state trooper was sent to my job at the city of Delray Beach instead of going through a divorce court. The state trooper was sent. I tried to contact O.J. Simpson's wife's sisters. That's Nicole Brown Simpson. Her 3 sisters keep talking, but they don't talk about how it happens. So I'm telling them how it happens. So of course I mentioned at 6:45 a.m. Saturday, March 18, 2022, two sheriffs came into Boca Raton police jurisdiction. They were across the street from where I work talking about something. But they know that I did. I was their superwoman when I worked for the city of Delray Beach. I got a good evaluation, as well as I closed on two properties. One was for sale by owner because I took the real estate class at FAU. Now there's 13.7% of the USA is African Americans. And then President Obama adds some Nigerians like his family, father's family. Here's the art of degrading and devaluing a woman. Here's Kanye West. You can see his wife having oral sex with him. And I complained in other videos and hope somebody would speak to him. He doesn't get arrested for that, of course. So, the symbol of misogyny being normalized is facial mutilation. Because your face is your identity. Face, your Facebook, and China, communist China has a company called Face. So your face can now be scanned and you can get past risk management at airports and get past risk management at companies. So when the stab wound in her body was what killed her, but they did the facial mutilation. Of course, Rihanna, Chris Brown did this facial mutilation. So you see the pattern of this art of degrading and devaluing a woman and the spread of misogyny. Of course, Meghan Markle, when she was 11, she complained about the psychological attacks she spoke to on women. She spoke to Procter & Gamble, Linda Ellaby, Gloria Allred, and Hillary Clinton. She also went on to UN Women. Then I heard a song at a fraternity party that said, "Whores on your tippy toes." And I know the music perpetuates the disrespect of women and the devaluing and grading of women. So when the Republicans reversed Roe versus Wade, the world could see that the American court is invalid. Now, Dr. Fields said that humans are genetically predisposed to kill each other. My father is a Cuban fighter, a mechanic in the Royal Air Force, and a Coca-Cola manager. And sometimes he gave my mom ulcers because he was different, because they had different thinking styles and different expectations. But hunter-gatherers use social controls of ridicule, ostracism, shunning, and gossip. I've experienced that. But it does erode into misogyny, which is treating women differently from men in social and professional settings. So when the girl came into the city of Delray Beach and started bullying me, that is treating me differently in a professional setting. And then they had me terminated. So I also experienced threatening, aggressive, intimidating, and violent behavior since I was bullied out the city of Delray Beach, but that was my fourth government job. So misogyny, people make millions of music with female degradation in it. Will they continue to get away with it? They will see what they can get away with. That's why we have to do the change management now. It's deep-rooted. This Nicole Brown Simpson's sisters. She had 3 sisters. I had 5 sisters. 2 of my sisters are in the UK, but I grew up with some cousins. We adopted a cousin like a sister. So I grew up with 9 girls or 9 sisters, sort of. But these ladies don't have any answers, and I'm trying to give you the answers. You have gangs in government, and they just replaced my Jamaican banker at the credit union with an American banker. I trust my Jamaican banker at the credit union. And Nicole Brown Simpson's sister said that 30 years after, the grief does not let up. So I tried to contact them through the foundation. So we have to do prevention by support system, detection by attorneys, justice in the courts, reproductive freedom, women's health care. We're not going to have Kamalanomics. We are past the election, and people said we should strap ourselves in for the ride with Trump and Elon Musk. Now, being specific, we have the Caribbean diaspora globally. I was looking at Black Lives Matter, and then all of a sudden, I realized that I needed to be specific. When a sheriff said to me, I am small, and they bullied me out of my job at the city of Delray Beach, then I knew that African Americans don't like people from the Caribbean. They compete with us. So I started looking for support with the Caribbean diaspora globally. I studied French with my best friend in high school because I was going to high school in Canada. My best friend also studied German and she lives in Germany. So the Caribbean Diaspora Lives Matter is a powerful dialogue. You should believe in your culture. And another part of the delegation I'm trying to organize is Time Done. Time Done is an organization. Now, they had a lot of protests because there are people who are unfairly or unjustly imprisoned or put in jail. And the paradigm I'm experiencing, I put it on YouTube because people like to know things in America. In Europe, people don't talk to you. But in America, they want to know everything. So it's all on YouTube. So the organization named Time Done is what I'm speaking to. I know Officer Orderer in Seattle created a new group called LV, or Limited Value, because when that Indian graduate student was killed, he laughed and said, just cut a check from the city, she was of limited value. Here is the transcript from the dash cam about person being of limited value. And of course, like Americans do, they always protest. The problem is that the Americans get angry for a short time. They get angry, they protest, they light fires, they get arrested. And then 2 weeks later, they're driving to Walmart, they're driving to work, and they're driving to their home. And so it's just complaining, not doing something. So we're reaching out to victims. Please begin to collect evidence and videos. We're going to organize Zoom calls. There are numerous pro bono international human rights attorneys. We're going to have a delegation to the attorneys and a delegation to the ICC. Harvard University had a philosophy lecture about the differences between people. Although there are differences, the international law does say that we all have human rights. So I believe the corrective would be a verdict of US $50 billion. I kept changing the verdict the more I observed the United States. I'm walking because an African American state trooper was attacking me on my job, at my home, ticketing my car back to back and towing my car. So I'm on foot and I see more. Here's what I see. Well, first, these are the 18 judges of the International Criminal Court. There used to be 8, including a Jamaican judge. I put my diploma from FAU on here because this was my 4th university. I've been in 4 colleges for 16 years. But what I learned from my 4 government jobs was of significant value, almost as much value as my diploma. Caribbean diaspora is global. My best friend is in Germany and my sisters are in the UK. And since World War II, the United States was given, I think Jesus is our King, the Master, and they were given the most talents to control international trade. And so right now, the United States has this much reserves of US dollars in all the banks. And this was given since World War II. Now, the UK pound is number 4. It's much lower value than US. You can see it's 562, 231K, and this is trillions, So it's like 1/12 of the US dollar, the UK dollar, UK pound. So I have a unique case because I had three different groups of Americans flying into Jamaica to impact my life at age 10. So Harvard Business Review, which I used all through my years at Florida Atlantic University Business School, said that managers manage, but leaders cope with change. So we want to create some change and move the needle. That's what Kamala and Doug said, we have to move the needle. That means make a noticeable change or impact or modify something. What was taken from me? And I had some moments with God. This is a moment with God. When I saw this picture, I'm sitting here eating, and here's my little tyke sitting with my grandmother. And I had my two kids take pictures with their grandmother and their great grandmother because these women, back then, they had a restaurant, bar, and bakery. And my grandmother operated the bar, and my grandaunt hired family from all over to work in the business with her. And so my little tyke, if I had left him right there with my grandmother, he could have jumped the fence to go to elementary school like I did. My mother bought a house right in front of the elementary school. And the principal at that elementary school, her daughter is the first PhD, female PhD in engineering. And she has a Caribbean studies nonprofit, and she has a space nonprofit. I'm trying to talk to her right now. So since the moment with God, I put it in black. This moment with God when my son was okay in my mother's house. That's my mother behind him, helping the lady in the house to cook breakfast. So my family sent me that picture, and I'd gone through 5-stage of grieving with a therapist and a PhD psychologist from FAU was helping me. But this picture triggered something because I realized God, I was there in Jamaica, I could have left my little tyke. So how you handle gifted children? This one is a boy at 6 years old. He's autistic, but he's also gifted with academic subjects. So he's now in Oxford University. This is my son. He tested gifted at 6 years old. This is my nephew. He also tested gifted. He's now a PhD in neurosurgery, and he went back to his high school to thank them. The best mother in the world, the best daughter, and the best wife was taken from us also. And we tried to investigate what happened to her. And people don't understand family synergy. If you ever had family synergy, Jamaica is just a small island, but we're out of one people. My dad's Cuban, my mom's Jamaican, and we had family synergy. And I tried to remind my family, don't make all this make you depressed. Please continue to create value because this is what we come from. Don't let anybody let you forget what you came from. So, the Catholic churches were at 73 billion. Seventh-day Adventists were at 15.6 million. Church of England were at 13.84 billion. The Jehovah's Witnesses are worth 23 billion in land and buildings all over the world, including I helped them to build a Kingdom Hall in Lake Worth. I did installation. They sent out the 20 quick build team. But there's never been a church that's sold to the government, nor the presiding president. The Jehovah's Witnesses sold their $340 million building to Kushner's when Trump was president, aligning himself with Trump and Kushner's. Here it is, pictures from the news. This is the business model. I helped them build a Kingdom Hall in Lake Worth, and I've been to other building programs that were other buildings, they get the land and build. There's a building right by FAU here too. So I found out that Judge Rutherford, the second president of Jehovah's Witnesses, he's related to George Washington, who was a president. So he speaks to presidents and sells buildings to presidents. So they keep aligned with government. Through the alignment is Trump, Kushner's, and JW.org. There are 23 billion in land and buildings globally. And Jehovah's Witnesses do not approve abortion. So when the judges and Trump removed abortion, Roe versus Wade, they were all aligned. So here's the activists. I tried to contact Kamala, Maya, and Mina. They said we need healing and education. But here is Abir El Sajir. She's an activist too. She's so patriotic. She's asking us to help Palestine and Lebanon. And she makes big amount of super meals and gives them to people. Sometimes she makes snacks, fried snacks, and just takes them to the traffic. She's such a woman of valor. So the motherland, Christopher Columbus came from Europe. The Spanish were trying to take it, and Europe was trying to take it. And Maisden Park does look like the upper section of Paris. But the upper section of Paris actually looks, a little bit different because of the upper buildings, how ornate they are. But I was over there. I was not at the Eiffel Tower or anything like that. But I can't afford to live here, obviously. So NATO was visiting BRICS because Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, along with the UAE, are now aligning because the United States had control of everything now. They're taking control of everything. So we have such poverty in Bulgaria and Burundi. In Bulgaria, they have 70,000 people living in slums. They don't have any garbage service. In Burundi, they can't afford cars. They have donkeys. Then there are other African countries with the same problem. And these countries try to have infrastructure projects, ports, trains, and roads. They are so expensive to the IMF, but China is doing them for a little less now. No, 50 years of Jamaican history is that when the Queen left Jamaica, our dollar was of greater value than the US dollar. But over 50 years, it went from 50 cents to 155 Jamaican dollars equal $1. So the USA has a lot of land to plant and have the homeless tend these crops instead of prison, which is DeSantis now made it law that homeless people should go to jail. So I was watching as I walk along the water that they were wasting, which could grow rice, soybeans, black beans. You know how dry some countries, poor countries are? And look at that water wasting in America. Here's the bigger waste, Monday, December 23, 2024. Large amount of wasted water. And here's land. This is on the way to FAU, right by the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall is this vacant land. USA could plant crops and have the homeless tend them. And the train line goes from Miami all the way up to New York. And they do not have any crops or plants as sound barriers by the train. But here's all the vacant land by the train tracks. Other waste. This is a company I used to work for. They do not recycle plastic bottles. And they do not recycle cardboard. And zero waste is a culture in Europe right now. That means 1% of waste in landfills. Now, you know how rich this country is. Could you imagine what could be accomplished in man hours in poor countries by using these machines for clearing land for crops, clearing land for homes, clearing water channels, making water channels and reservoirs? Can you imagine what could be accomplished? I saw more machines today, more wheelbarrows and things. All these could help these poor countries with their crops, water channels, reservoirs, and improve their infrastructure. So there are 31 million rich in the United States and 300 million that John Sarbanes said are pretty much against big money. The Here's one example of a home. You know, they have these mansions on 10 acres, and our King Donald Trump has Mar-a-Lago and he has a robots garden Mar-a-Lago. So, what about the 300 million Americans that Senator Paul Sarbanes spoke about? So, I am suspicious of Trump. He could change. He could really care about America, especially with Elon Musk coming from South Africa trying to change something. The Jordan Peterson, who is a clinical psychologist, said that we have to just get strapped in for the ride. So this is what his history is, though. Frederick Trump, 1869, he was in Germany. 1933, the Holocaust started. They killed the Jews and took their wealth, even their rugs. The Jews campaigned because they even took rugs. So they accumulated $775 million and put it in Swiss bank accounts. It was said that the CNN reported that the Trumps had two brothels, and then they went to Germany and got $80 million. This must be from the killing of Jews, and they started to increase the Trump empire in the United States. So this is a CNN report about the two brothels. So you can Google it. So we are hoping that he's different because, of course, they beat him up. The police kept rearresting him. They shot at him. They also treat him like a clown in the court. But he did say drink Lysol. So we're watching him and hoping he has changed. 221 is when he said drink Lysol, and 224 he said use them up. So when he says drink Lysol 2021 and then says use them up 2024, it worries me. But, you know, he's a very rich man and he has Elon Musk with him. So I'm hoping that he has changed and care about people. So we saw how rich America is. We saw the US dollar. And we saw that they would rather put all the homeless in jail instead of having the homeless tend crops, not feeding with these crops. We saw wasted water. We saw vacant land. We saw no plantings for train sound barrier. We saw lack of recycling. They don't have zero waste. We saw expensive machines just sitting doing nothing. No man hours on them. We saw massive realty for the rich. I had another moment with God. Seeing the inequity, the mystery, alignment, all within 2,000 feet adjacent to FAU is vacant land for homeless to tend. Properties with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses have a kingdom hall right by that vacant land. And then I saw the waste or excess of acreage for rich mansions, all within 2,000 feet. There it is. That's the vacant land. That's the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. And that's the 10-acre mansion. So I said to myself, there was no warning label for me. I was just told about the American dream, and the Jehovah's Witnesses were the one who directed me away from Canada to come to be with the Jehovah's Witnesses in Miami at school. So the lady is a real sheep. I lived in her house. But now I see Bill Clinton's betrayal with Monica Lewinsky, Donald Trump's betrayal with Stormy Daniels, Hunter Biden's betrayal. He has felony convictions. So I believe that if they can betray presidents like this, then hunter-gatherers will betray you. So that's why I have a video. Instead of a reality show and instead of anything else to say, weekly I say I'm at without any warning. When I was 10 years old, I didn't have the warning. I didn't know African Americans would hate Jamaicans so much and want us to be nothing and treat us unfairly, the police, or treat us with misogyny. So I say at without any warning. So I found out that the worst countries for women, there's a list of 10. They say India, Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, and then United States is number 10. That's really disappointing. But we had Kamala Harris try, and Maria Shriver and Liz Cheney did join her somewhat because they realized the problem. They spoke about the problems too. So the paradigm of betrayal starts in the White House and it ends when you walk past somebody on the street. He might just be a stalker. The United Nations has a 2030 end poverty agenda. So, to end poverty in the world where greed, waste, betrayal, and misogyny exist, I would like to go around 195 countries to talk about ending poverty, to talk about the things that are wrong. There's nothing the USA could give me that would be sufficient. My little tyke was tested gifted at 6, and if I had any warning, I would have left him in Jamaica at my mother's house. I want to go around the world on TV and stop misogyny. I think if the USA has to pay these fines or they have a verdict, it may change the thinking and the cover-ups. And change is what we want. Let me know. My email address is emmt@gmx.com. My phone number is 728-777-5959. The delegation to the international attorneys and the delegation to the international court, we have a Facebook group to begin getting organized. We got to organize our evidence. I saw other YouTube videos like Caribbean Diaspora Lives Matter. So get organized. We have a huge networking to accomplish. What was taken from you? Email, text, call, video, YouTube. The ICC recently had a verdict of 900 million. Did that? I took it right from the news. From this global standpoint, US 50 billion is a fair verdict. I am one of 6 daughters. My daddy started training me at 9 years old. My daddy was a Cuban fighter, a mechanic in the Royal Air Force, and a Coca-Cola manager. Me and my daddy are Cuban fighters. Don't be afraid.